Thank you. It was a great honor for me to be here again in Turkey, especially Istanbul, a city that I love. And well, I hope to tell something about nanotechnology in the next 45 minutes or so. And let me first say, if the next one is going. So, Holland, the Netherlands, is partner country of this conference, and I'm from the University of Twente, the Mesa Institute of Nanotechnology, and that is in the eastern part of Holland. There is a lot of activity on nanotechnology in the Netherlands. It's called NanoNext-NL. It's a huge program, a national program, and I have the honor to chair this NanoNext-NL. Let me say something about our university. It's a campus university. You live, you study, and you work at the same area. It's a very green area as well. If you're looking very well to the picture, you see the nanolab, you see the high-tech factory where we have some extra activities on nanotechnology, and you see the soccer stadium of FC Twente. So that's, I think we're now almost on degradation, but still though, it's one of the nicest things about this region itself. The institute is quite large. It's among the largest in the world, and we have more than 500 scientists working in the nanolab. And well, it's a kind of turnover of almost 50 million. And we produce something about 400 to 500 papers each year. What's nice about it is that we are specialized in certain areas of the nanotechnology. It's specialized in materials, also in healthcare, and also in optics and photonics, etc. There are 44 professors in the group working there. And we have over 250 PhD students, and 10% is from Turkey. So there are a lot of Turkish young people who are doing the studies in Twente. If you look into the nanolab itself, it's a national laboratory, and I will say some words about it. It's a little bit more than 1,000 square meter, and 500 square meter is vibration-free. It's a floor of about 1 meter concrete. It stands on 360 pillars on the ground, and the whole building is isolated from the floor. So it's really a vibration-free floor. But also, the temperature inside the nanolab is constant. If it's on Monday morning, a Friday evening, in the night, during the day, the temperature is always the same. And that's because we try to make nanostructures inside this laboratory. I did part of my study in Stanford, and when I returned last summer in Stanford, I was driving the 280, and there was the Google car, the self-driving car. Well, that was not possible 5 years ago. And I went to the laboratory of Stanford, and my professor was driving a Tesla and was looking to an iPad on the screen. Well, he's 90 years old, and 5 years ago it was unbelievable that he was driving such a car. How come? How come? This comes by nanotechnology. Then we can make objects as small as that. I don't know in the audience if you all know about nanotechnology, so I explain a little bit about the going back in sizes to the nanometer regime. For that I have the Earth, I have a soccer ball, and I have the buckyball. The ratio between the Earth and the soccer ball is the same as the soccer ball and the buckyball. The buckyball are 60 carbon atoms, and it looks a little bit the same as the soccer ball itself. I could also explain it another way. When I did shave this morning, and I go from one ear to the other, and I was here, a second later, my hair was grown 10 nanometers. And that's the sizes we make in the laboratory itself. What makes it so excitement nowadays on nanotechnology, that because we have the tools and the bricks of the dimension of our life, the building blocks of our life. If you're looking to a red blood cell, for example, of viruses or DNA, we can make apparatus as small as a cell. Our electronica is much smaller than the viruses. And the carbon nanotube is around about the same size as the DNA. So we have the instrumentation, and we have the building blocks to mimic some cells to mimic something from the body, for example. And I will show some examples about how we can measure the body and how we can make new materials that get energy out of your body. Nanotechnology, well, it started with electronics. So if I open my iPad, I see the electronics in here. If you're looking focusing more, then you see that my computer, maybe it's not readable from the back, but you have to see that the computer in 18 months becomes twice as fast and twice as much memory. And that was continuing year after year after year after year. And if you're now looking to the lab and you see that the sizes of the device, the transistors become very, very small. This picture is made of ASML, the company in Holland who makes machines to make nanostructures. And this wafer, if you zoom in, you see the computer. And if you zoom in, you see the transistor. The transistor nowadays, you can count the number of atoms of the transistor. So you can also see that in 18 months, your computer maybe is twice as fast, or the memory is twice as much. But it comes to an end. I often give lectures to young people from high school, for example, and I see a lot of students now also in the audience, and I say, you are the future. You have to think about, our generation have worked with computers for the last, say, 50 years or so. Now it comes to an end. Now we have to make new solutions, new ideas. The quantum computing, maybe. And at the end of my talk, I will say something about, can we mimic our brain? Maybe that's the future. But we have to have bright ideas for young people who come up with ideas for the next generation. If you're looking to nanostructures itself, I think the battery is down. Do you have another for me, or? Well, this is the machine of ASML who makes this nanotechnology work. Okay. Could you have another one for me? Yeah? Okay, let's see. So let's go back. So the electronics, the semiconducting industry have given us the opportunity to make things smaller and smaller and smaller. But it's although man-created nanotechnology? No, in nature there is a lot of nanotechnology. An example is here, it's the lotus flower. And the leaf of the lotus has a certain property that it doesn't get wet. And if you zoom in, you will see that there are nanopillars. And we can make these nanopillars, the nanostructured material. So if we have a droplet on a nanostructured material, the droplet will just bounce. So this is a normal surface. The droplet will stick on the surface. And if it bounces, and if a nanostructured surface, you will see it don't stick at the floor. This works? Okay, thank you. So and we can make this, for example, on textile. So we make textile that is not becoming wet or dirt. And you can see that, for example, in a wall of super clean, ultra clean. It's one of the part of the wall is nanostructured and the other is not. So this is coffee, and if you put ink on it, you will see that it doesn't stick on the nanostructured wall. We're building a new hospital in Enschede, in the town, my town, where the University of Twente is. And we make a special room with the wallpaper as this nanostructured material. So if something, a virus or so, sticks to the wall, then a water droplet don't stick at the wall, picks the virus or something like that, so we can clean the wall with water. And this is one of the applications about what nature learns us about nanotechnology. How we can see those structures? Well, it's not by using a standard microscope. We have to use special microscope. And Royer and Binnig from IBM Zurich have developed such a system. It's a very easy idea. It's like you have 4 atoms, and each atom has an electron. And you have a wire, you cut the wire, and the last is an atom with electrons. So if the electrons overlap, there's a current, and now it's a current, it's not, you put it in the computer, and here every green block is an atom. IBM did it by moving the atoms and putting IBM at the surface of a wafer. But we can do much more with that. We can see atoms, we can also see part of our body, this part of the brain. And this is from a Parkinson patient, and we can see what happens with it if it's affected or if you can use a drug to overcome this disease. This cannot be seen on another way than with this kind of microscopes. For this, we made new materials. We wanted to, well, for example, we want to see if there's a tumor inside of the body. So we make nanoparticles, and the nanoparticles are not straight or not easy to grow, but are very special. It's not like a material that's been grown in nature. No, we put the atoms together, and we put such a way that's become a quantum dot. If you put these quantum dots in a solution, depending on the size, depending on the elements, it got a color. It's a colored liquid with nanoparticles inside. And this is kind of contrast. So if you put molecules on these nanoparticles, for example, that recognizes if there is some tumor or RNA or something like that, it clicks to the tumor. A particle that shines light clicks on the tumor. So if you have something, for example, in breast cancer, you can see the tumor because it's visible light that gives exactly where the tumor is. Well, these particles can all be made inside a piece of DNA. So if the particle is at a tumor, it recognizes the tumor, it opens and it delivers the drug. So this drug delivery is also something that's on progress in the laboratory. But I have you thinking about how about these nanoparticles? What they do? If they don't shine light, if the medicine is in your body, what does a nanoparticle inside your cell, for example? Or if I'm using sun cream, in sun cream we have a lot of titanium dioxide nanoparticles. What does this nanoparticles do with your body? Is it safe or not? For this, we developed a whole system where we can measure and look into how cells are responding on nanoparticles. Here you can see a flow with cells, and every droplet has one cell inside. In reality, it goes 500 times faster than you see here. And this is one channel, but we can make 10, 100 of these channels. So within a few minutes, we have thousands, millions of cells. We can measure what happens if you put nanoparticles on the cell. For this, we put another droplet, and the droplet, the one from the right, is a droplet with a cell. The other is a droplet with nanoparticles. They merge together, and then you can follow the cell, and you can see how the cell responds on like nanoparticles. But it could also be on medicine, for example. And again, in reality, it goes much, much, much faster. All this we put in a device where you can measure, so for example, the content of your blood. So if you have a disease like, and you use it as a medicine, like lithium, because you're depressive or so, then you want to measure the lithium content of your blood. But inside is a complete laboratory. So the laboratory, you can see here, measures the content of your blood directly. You put the finger on this laboratory, and it sees about the content of calcium, magnesium, or lithium in your blood. This brings it directly to the idea about spin-off companies. So there are spin-off companies already put this on the market. But I said, how much blood do you need? It's 1,000th of a droplet is enough. In fact, the skin, your blood in your skin is enough to do all the measurements. So there's devices developed where you have 36 of needles where you put your finger on, and if you put your finger on, then it measures the content of your blood. It are 36, machines who measure it, because inside the tip is the whole laboratory on a chip. In this way, you really can measure the content of your blood in a very short period. Also, if you do so, then you also think, okay, if you can measure blood, can you also measure DNA? So the next part is, can we discover or can we recognize DNA or can we read DNA of a person? For this, actually, we made the same nanostructured surfaces as the droplet. Now we put in the droplet DNA. It's a little bit fluorescent because you can see and you can follow. It also has, well, we can move DNA from one side of the chip to the other side. So we can measure the content of your blood, we can measure is the RNA or DNA, etc., etc. Let's put this all in one pill. We call this the nano pill. The idea of the pill is that you take the pill, and Ghana had a nice example before about that you can put your pill in your body and then in the future you can measure. No future, now. This pill you take, and in the pill is a complete laboratory, a laboratory that can measure your RNA, etc. Well, there is an animation, so I will show you this. We all men, older than 50 years, every year we have to take the pill. This pill goes to your stomach and then your colon. It's testing for colon cancer. If it comes in your colon, then it opens and a pump inside puts some liquid inside. There is also a camera on board, so he makes pictures of the inside of your colon. This liquid, and say that, for example, from a tumor, the red dots are RNA from colon cancer. We collect it in these nanopillars. Say after 1 minute, we have collected enough material, if it's there, of course. And then a little bit heat is released, and what's in the pill is complete nanolab. And the nanolab consists of all kinds of nanowires with antibodies, and if they click, the resistance of this nanowire changes and gives a signal to the electronics that's also inside the pill. And if it measures a certain concentration of RNA, then it sends a message via my mobile phone to your doctor, say, contact please, because I detected some RNA inside your body. Science fiction? No. It already exists in the lab. It's on the market? No. Why not? Because it has to be not 1,000 euro, but say 5 or 10 euro. So it has to be extremely cheap. But also, it has to solve, because if you use the pill and afterwards, you don't want to look to the pill, and it does, so it has to dissolve like a normal pill does. By the way, with the email or the messages of your mobile phone is the pictures and also the track where the pill exactly has discovered where is kind of a tumor or not. Another thing is that you don't want to have a battery inside the pill. There's electronics. So how does the electronics get this energy? And the electronics get this energy because of the body heat. So we developed a material that measures or that needed a temperature of your body and sets it on into electricity. And we can use that for several reasons, not only for your body, but if you're looking to the loss of heat, of energy heat, that's tremendous. These are cars in a traffic jam. But also a person like me standing here, my temperature has to be, say, 36 degrees or so. My surrounding temperature is 20 degrees, so this 16-degree temperature difference is enough energy for this pill to have the electronics done. But you need material. You need material like the piezo, as an example in the previous talk. But you also have thermoelectrics. And how we do this is that really we build with atoms. We have machines such a control about putting one atom to another, making these quantum dots, as I showed you before. With this kind of machines we can, well, draw with a computer the idea of making a material with a new property. And this is in reality how it's done. The white dots are all atoms, just putting atom for atom together. And we are using this for, well, say, a material that gets energy from the body heat. So if you make two different materials with two different properties, like a material that is very good conducting, but no heat conduction, with a material that has a very good heat conduction, but it's not conducting, you get some thermoelectric material. material that only a few degrees Celsius gives energy. And you can put this in your clothes. You can put your hand on your clothes and it's energy. Or charge your mobile phone, maybe, your clothes. But you can also use this, for example, to change the color of your clothes. And how we manage to do so, how we manage to put an atom on an atom on an atom, is by, we call it pulse laser deposition. Also, there's a kind of movie, I'll show you the movie. With a laser, we hit a piece of material. It evaporates, a complete chamber full of atoms. And we put another material in the laser. And again, the whole chamber fills with atoms. And we follow, as we grow, how we make one layer of an atom, the second layer, and the third layer, etc., etc. With this, we can make materials of all kinds of things we wanted to do. Well, the apparatus itself is not a very easy apparatus, but still, it's also on the market, so it's also a spin-off of nanotechnology, how to make this atom control of materials. So, in fact, what we do, we follow the growth by looking to the reflection of electrons. And here you can see that on the atomic, the microscope, you can see how atoms are growing. The intensity drops, and then the layer closes, and a new material comes in. And intensity drops, it's just half filled, and then intensity goes rise again, etc. In this way, we can make material of layer by layer. One of the things we wanted to do is making materials that doesn't exist in nature. Is that possible? Yeah, it's possible. Like, for example, the material of transparent conducting material is not there in nature. Glass is transparent, but not a conductor. A metal is a very good conductor, but not transparent. With this technique, we can combine atoms together and making a new material that has both properties. And actually, in nature, we have materials that become superconducting as a metal, an insulator, etc., etc. It's are cubics, and there are different magnetic forms as well. And we could put this together, and suddenly we get material that has two properties, and those material doesn't exist in nature. In this way, we make these pancakes of material, and in this way, we can make properties that are very surprising. For example, two isolators, non-conducting material on top of each other, and a sandwich becomes a superconductor, a very good conductor. And by doing so and doing these experiments, we discovered something else. We discovered if you have a non-conducting material, putting another non-conducting material on top of it, then the interface between the atoms could be conducting. And here you can see an example of the resistance. This is a temperature, and the resistance is a metal, because if you cool down, the resistance will go lower and lower. And these are insulators by itself. Just by changing the atom distance, we can make it a very good conducting, a bad conducting, even a superconducting. Those materials are non-magnetic. The interface is magnetic. And then coming back to this kind of layers where we can put, say, temperature difference, the temperature difference in energy, or we can take this conducting and non-conducting or transparent conducting materials. And here you can see a layer. This sandwich, this focus really, if you focus, is really on an atom scale. With this material on top of plastics becomes plastic electronics. So the pill inside will have plastic electronics. But it also be that the mobile phone, not maybe the next, but the next mobile phone will completely flexible because of this kind of technique. So on one hand, you need the machine who is in the laboratory, who makes design, a student has an idea and says, okay, if we can put these atoms together, what do we get? So it's a Friday afternoon experiment, but it's really nice because you can really make that in the lab itself. But if you found a new material, if you found a new property, then you needed light sizes. So it's also a company who delivers large wafers with this kind of material. And one of the materials that's becoming very interesting for us to work with is piezo. That's what was very exciting about the last talk of Kana, who showed piezoelectricity. But piezoelectricity can also be made in a fashion to be atom on atom on atom on atom. In this way, we make this piezo material very, very sensitive. That brought us the idea about mimic your nose. Our nose, we can smell. We can smell if it's dirt or not, or fire or whatsoever. Dogs can smell better. We use this, I don't know, it's here in Turkey, but in Holland uses dogs to smell marijuana, for example. Well, coming from Holland, I live across a coffee shop, so I know how it smells. But there are some rats who can smell if you have lung cancer. And that brought us on the idea about, can we make this, this piezoelectrics on a nanoscale, and it's vibrating, and we put on this cantilever, we put an antibody, and the antibody sees something that's originating, for example, for lung cancer, or for tuberculosis, it clicks, and then the resonance frequency changes, and we can measure that. So in fact, here is the cantilever. On top is the gold dot. On top of the gold dot is the molecule, and the molecule is looking if it sees some atom or molecule originating from cancer. How big is this device? This is the device in reality. This is my hair. The device is not this size. It's not this size, but it's this size. And it has to be because you want to detect one molecule. So the device has to be almost the same as the molecule is. Let me finish by returning to my first slide to say, okay, electronics is a very important part of nanotechnology. Electronics is a very important part of the daily life. We want to go to cheaper electronics, we want to have new electronics, we want to see what are the possibilities of electronics. Maybe the quantum computer is the electronics of the future. But there's also another thing, and that's our brain. Our brain we can inspire our brain with computers. If I compare my brain or your brain with the most fast computer there is in the world, we are 1,000 times faster. We have 1,000 times more memory than the largest computer in the world. But our mind uses 1 million less energy than this computer. So if we make computers based on our brain, then we gain so much energy. And we know how much energy we use all day long with computers, or mobile phones, or iPads, or presentations. For this, we have to look how brain is working. How we manage to have information in our brain, how your brain talks and talks and talks with each other, with the nerves, for example. And this is how we work. So we have a kind of network. It's like in the previous slides. I show you the particles that go to functionize and then see a tumor and opens or just gives light. These particles can also be connected with each other. We have a black box with thousands and thousands of nanoparticles, and they touch with molecules. So there are a network, and we don't know how this network works. The only thing we know, if we measure, we put in a signal and we measure, then we learn how this black box is working, like our body, like our brain has done when you are a child or a fetus. So we're learning and learning the black box, and at the end, we know. And at the end, we make a computer with this black box. And we showed now in the laboratory the first results that we really can make a black box of nanoparticles responding and reacting and learning to calculate and cost no energy. No energy. If I talk about our institute, or you talk about nanotechnology in the Netherlands, and this morning it was already mentioned, that there's such a innovation going on nanotechnology. And I think that especially this kind of application I show is very good for spin-off. So we stimulate that in the Mesa Plus Institute and the university. So if there's an idea, the student comes with maybe a new material or a new device to measure the content of your blood, or making a credit card that you cannot hack, for example. Then these research topics, we look and we see if it can come to a spin-off. So it's a protection, of course. We can look to the patents. We help them to develop a workshop to see what's going on. And if it's a success, then we make a spin out of it. We give some seed money. And there is, in the Netherlands, are a lot of programs running to making the first years and to grow from small to medium-sized companies, on nanotechnology. And if we're looking to the campus, on campus, we have a special laboratory. It's called High-Tech Factory, where those companies can make the prototypes or even make production-wise. In this way, 10% of our PhD students start in companies. So from the 250, or say, from the 50 PhD students every year, more than 5 companies are being grown. That means that in a few years now, that we are running, we have over 50 high-tech spin-off companies from our university and from our Institute of Nanotechnology. So in my opinion, nano has a future. It will change our life. And this morning we had the prince, and this is our king. He says so. Nanotechnology, that's the future. Thank you.
Dave Blank, thank you very much. Maybe there are some questions for you. Sorusu olan var mı acaba?
But I have a question.
I can see one hand over there. Let's get the microphone. Arkadaşlar hızlı bir şekilde mikrofonu verelim lütfen.
Okay, everyone can hear me? Yes. I heard that the nanoparticles have kind of side effects on human body. Has there been any studies on that?
Yeah. Okay, this is the effect of nanoparticles on your body. And yeah, there is a lot of study. It's a very important part of the study for application on nanoparticles. There is regulation now in Europe. But what is a nanoparticle? And there's regulation to put, if nanotechnology is being used or nanoparticles inside, you have to put this on the market itself. So there is indeed a lot of experiments going on how the effect on, for example, on cells is. So that what I showed about this droplets of cells, that's part of this campaign to look how your body is responding on nanoparticles. Yeah. But it's very, very important, by the way. Yeah?
Hello.
Hello.
My name is Alkan, and I want to join the development of quantum computers in the future.
Yeah.
And I'm asking that which one is the better to develop the quantum computers, the physics or computer engineering? Which one should I study in university?
Okay, that's a nice question. By the way, did you two also ask questions to the prince, isn't it? And yes. Now, so you're very active. I liked it. But you can, I think, if you focus on nanotechnology, it's a very broad area. So it's multidisciplinary. So in my institute, we have people who come from computer science, electroengineering, physics, chemistry, mathematics, or bio, etc. Yeah, exactly. The merge between those, that's really, really important. So you have to you have to work together. You have the guts to do something. Now, you have the guts because you are asking questions in a large audience. And you have, of course, you also have the brains, but I have no doubt about that. So follow the study you like the most, and that's up. Maybe on nanotechnology, who knows?
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dave Blank. I think the questions are getting very personal. They will
yeah,
be asking
that doesn't matter. But I do have a question for you.
Okay, thank you.
It is very short. I was in Gina was showing this heart. Is it for people? I myself do a little bit the same, like on Facebook. After I give a presentation, I ask the audience to have 2 thumbs up, because it gives a yell to the community. Okay, we have one Earth. We have to be proud of the Earth, and so we have to join together to make a beautiful life out of it. So I have my mobile phone. I set it on a picture, and now I want to have 2 thumbs up for everyone. Yeah, okay, yeah. I won't do nothing with the picture. I only put it on Facebook. Thank you.